Hello, everyone. Welcome to Great Whale Investing. It's Alex. I'm your host. Today, we're going to be talking about buyouts. Okay, big scary word, buyout. What does it mean? What happens during a buyout? Well, let's take a look. So today, I have open here. We have TCG Player. Got Shuko, random card I just picked because I had a foil one lying around. And we're going to look at what happens during a buyout. So if you were to buy out a card, let's take a look at Shuko here. Foil ones. Foil Shuko. One printing, only from Betrayers of Kamigawa. We have 6 foil copies on TCG Player. So if you wanted to buy it out on TCG Player is going to be the best place to do a buyout because what happens is a lot of sites pull their data from TCG Player. So when you go to a site like, let's say, MTG Stocks, and you look at cards that have gone up in price, it'll pull from TCG Player and use that. So, for instance, if I were to buy all the foil Shukos on TCG Player and then list one, if I'm a store on TCG, if I list it for $50 and somebody buys it, now what you'll see is instead of the price being, $17, $5 or whatever, you're going to see the price shoot up. And because of that, it'll cause a spike. It'll cause an inflation in the card's price. Doesn't necessarily mean that the card is worth that much, but what you've done is you've participated in a buyout. There aren't any copies left for that old price. Okay, so here, if we wanted to buy out foil Shukos, it would cost us, what is this, 20, 14, this is 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 89, like about 100, 120 bucks after shipping and taxes or whatever. $120, right? Want to make sure that we have them off most of the sites. So we go to eBay here. It's got $14 one, 24, 25. Here you go. Take a look. MTG foil, non-foil. Great, thank you. So you're looking at another, 100, maybe $200 on eBay. Star City Games out. Channel Fireball has a damaged one for 6. Magic Card Market, not as relevant for price spikes in the US market, but you can take a look at how many are here. Good amount of foil Shukos. Most of these are in different languages. Wow, they got a lot of Italian ones. Not too many English ones, a few. €5. I mean, you wouldn't want to buy these because these would come out to a ridiculous amount after conversion and shipping costs. Not recommended. But yeah, so basically what you can see is you can get a good feel for the market on how many foil Shukos there are. And before you try to artificially inflate the price yourself, or maybe you just believe the card is too cheap, so you want to buy them all. Who knows? What you have is, a way to manipulate card prices. It's perfectly legal, ethical, sure. I mean, you could argue who does it really hurt, right? Technically, it hurts players that are looking for foil Shuko. But if you believe that the card is undervalued yourself and you want to buy it because you suspect it to have future gains, it's just a form of investing, It's no different than the stock market, except the stock market has more regulation, of course. It doesn't have insider trading. But yeah, so that's how you would do a buyout. You would kind of look, there's other sites, Card Kingdom, ABU Games. There's a bunch of different websites you would look at to see how many there are, see if you want to buy them or you just want to let them be. The more you buy of the card, the fewer the fewer that there are left on the open market, the more chance you have of your buyout sticking. Personally, I've never bought out a card before. There's never been a card that I've felt has been like so ridiculous underpriced that I'm going to spend hundreds or thousands of dollars buying it out. But it is a possibility. It is a possibility that people do these in the future, and they might do them with bigger cards. I think as Magic hits the mainstream eventually, a lot of the old card prices are going to spike from buyouts. I think that it's possible that somebody just moves in on a certain Magic card and that they think is undervalued. Let's take a look at maybe, it's hard to say, but let's look at Undiscovered Paradise. This is the card that I have a lot of copies of. I would never do a buyout on it because it'd be very expensive, but if we look, we have a lot. We have how many pages? We have 11 pages worth. Look at these LP ones for hundreds of dollars. Ain't happening, right? But you have a lot. So there's about 10 per page. So, you're looking at, over 100 Undiscovered Paradises on here. You'd have to average them all out. Yeah, you've got them in decent ranges here. Let's say forget these guys here, right? All of these things, like this is all way overpriced. But let's say we have 9 pages of reasonably priced and under undiscovered paradises. Forget the condition. Let's just say they all average a price of $33, maybe 30. Let's say 30 because some of these are pretty cheap. $30. You have $30 times 10. It's $300 a page times 9 to $2,700. So you're looking at maybe, let's say, $3,000 to just buy all the undiscovered paradises on TCG Player. $3,000. It's not a whole lot of money in the grand scheme of things to buy out TCG Player on them. Now, what you're going to have is you're going to have a bunch on eBay as well. So you might want to buy some there or some from some websites. So let's say, $5,000. You want to put $5,000 because you think undiscovered paradise is too cheap. What's going to happen is you're going to buy out the card. There's not going to be any left on TCG Player. And then slowly, people are going to be like, oh, wow, I have undiscovered paradise. I'm going to list them. And they're probably not going to list them for whatever the new price is supposed to be, but they'll be listing them because they're going to see the price went up. So you're going to have them injected back into the market, which will naturally lower the price. When you buy out a card, and let's say the new price is now $100, that's not necessarily the whole story. People will then start undercutting each other by posting them more on TCG Player. Okay, well, $100 is the cheapest one now. I will sell mine for $90. Somebody else will come, I'll sell mine for $85. I'll sell mine for $80. And it'll continue to be a race to the bottom until it hits a number that people are comfortable paying again. Okay, $50 is the new price now. I will buy it for $50. And let's say that now there's none left at $50. Now they'll go up to $60, $65, $70, as it goes on. So there does need to be real demand behind a buyout in addition to just the buyout. You can't just buy all the copies of the card and expect it to actually change the legitimate price. It just changes the optics of it. I personally think Undiscovered Paradise is too cheap. I will not be buying any out, but I have a significant position that I feel of Undiscovered Paradises, and I feel like if this card goes up, it wouldn't necessarily only be because of a buyout. It'd be because the card's desirable. It's cool. It's pretty. It's powerful. So, maybe there's a card that you have in mind that is subject to some kind of, massive buyout. Who knows? So, yeah, you're going to want to, check TCG Player is going to be the main one. It's the main United States thing that people use for prices. And a lot of other sites, EDH Rec, other, sites like Cube Cobra, sites like MTG Stocks. I think Dawn Glare might do it too. There's quite a few websites that pull from TCG Player for pricing. So when you affect the price on TCG, you're affecting what people's perception of the card is and stuff like that. eBay as well. eBay is pretty good for buying Magic cards. There's usually not a huge supply. You also want to look at sold and completed listings, right? So here we'll see that there weren't that many foil Shuko sold in the last, bit. It's a bunch of non-Shuko stuff. But you're going to want to look at, all this information before you do a buyout. It is, usually a lot of money. Oh, look at that. They got no Shukos left on Star City Games. They need to do a restock. Notify me. So, yeah. Magic card market's an interesting one. It has some interesting prices. It doesn't really fall in line with the US prices, obviously, because it's from Europe. But it's also difficult to obtain cards from Europe on Magic Card Market. Magic Card Market's like the TCG Player equivalent for Europe. So if you're looking for cards, there's sometimes pretty large discrepancies in price, but do keep in mind you have to add on fees, the amount that, obviously the euro has more buying power than the dollar, so you have to convert that. If you're using PayPal or some other thing, you have to pay these ridiculous amounts and surcharges on them. Shipping is expensive and long and delayed, so it doesn't always make a lot of sense if you're buying something like that. If you're buying higher end stuff, and you can obviously find someone to do the transaction for you, you do need a European address to buy from Magic Card Market. If you go through all the effort for some higher end cards, it could be worth it because the shipping doesn't come out to much more. But usually the European market isn't as susceptible to buyouts in the United States unless they are actually legitimate buyouts. The card is literally too cheap, and the buyout has just shown that. So yeah, that's pretty much how you would do a buyout. So as a person who doesn't partake in them, what should you do? When you see a buyout, should you buy into it? Should you buy into the hype? Depends. Depends on how badly you need the card. Depends on if you think that the buyout is artificial or if it's a real, price mover, price correction. That's going to be up to you to decide. That's going to be up to you to research, to look at. Using the tools that I showed you here, you could look at the sales, look at Does it look, if all the cards were bought up in a day, that's probably just a buyout. Somebody, dropped some money and tried to artificially inflate the price. Pump and dump schemes are common too. People will buy the cards a bunch and then they'll start slowly liquidating themselves into it. There's all sorts of, things people do, but do educate yourself. Do make sure you're aware of it. Even if you don't like buyouts, even if you don't participate in them, there's something to make sure that you are educated on. Okay? So let me know in the comments. Have you ever done a buyout? Have you ever participated or known someone that's participated in it? Is there a card that you speculated heavily on and maybe didn't buy out all the copies of, but you bought a lot of copies of? Let me know in the comments, all right?